Welcome to today's presentation of Analyzing Arizona's Language Development Approach by Taylor Stewart myself. So let's get started. What is an English learner? Now, you may ask yourself, what is an English learner? And I want you to take a few seconds, even a minute or two, to think to yourself, what is this? I'll wait. So, now that you've kind of thought about what an English learner is, I'm going to be the one to tell you. According to Arizona's laws, a child who will be defined as an EL who does not speak English and whose native language is not English and cannot specifically execute ordinary classroom assignments in the English language. So basically, it simply means that if a student is not proficient in the English language, they will be considered to be an English learner, also known as an EL. Difficulty in the following academic areas include writing in English, reading in English, and comprehension level efficiency in English. The demographic and home language composition on the pre-K-12 EL population of Arizona. So, basically, in the state of Arizona, pre-K through the grade 12th grade, English language learner population is composed of all Hispanic students, with Spanish being the most populated at home language. Vietnamese, Navajo, and Somali are significantly represented for many English language learner students. The ELL population is filled with migrants, refugees, and immigrant culture and background. So basically, all three of those main languages that I identified before are made up of the second language. Structured English Immersion, also known as SEI, in Arizona. Arizona incorporates structured English immersion as the first instructional strategy to aid English language learners to acquire the English language skill. Features of Arizona's SEI model includes the English instruction, which means that all instruction is delivered in the English language, and then also targeted instruction, which means specific focus points focus on explicit language instruction in reading, writing, listening, and speaking, which can be crucial for students in pre-K through 12th grade. The distinction from sheltered English instruction simply embodies content versus the language focus. The language use, SEI, in Arizona strictly uses English language only. Sheltered instruction may use visuals and learning strategies to make content comprehensible and easily applicable. What can they relate to? What visuals have they seen before? Can they correlate for their first language to the English language? Effective student grouping is also important for students that are considered to be SEI students in Arizona are typically grouped for ELD from their results on the proficiency assessment, which means they would essentially perform higher rating levels when they are grouped with students that typically are of the same demographic as them. The Arizona Language Development Approach is basically a comprehensive language instructional framework that is suited to support English language learners in developing the English proficiency level. This aids in the students' academic achievements. And the four pointers of this model include set best behaviors and expectations. So basically, what is expected of them while they are learning. Behavior expectations of attending, following instructions. Also, point 2, integration of content and language instruction. Point 3, interaction of quality instructional practices. So basically, actively engaging with the learning, answering rhetorical questions, and just being a full participant in the discussion. And then finally, assessment and progress monitoring of students' performance. For student agency, which is something that I love, is basically that in the state of Arizona, students will have the center role of taking ownership and initiative of their learning. As the educator, I will encourage students to advocate, gain confidence in themselves, and strive to have majority of my students participating and actively engaging in class discussions and partner work. So whether that be one of my favorite activities of Think, Pair, Share, basically the student would have the opportunity to think about their ideas, share their ideas with their partner, whether that be a partner of two, um, a small group of 3 to 5 students. And then also, I will provide opportunities for students to have choice, advocacy, and self reflection. I'm a firm believer that self reflection is very, very important because students need to realize that they need to think about their ideas, their thoughts, and their perspectives of not only themselves, but of other people around them. Students will be empowered to make meaningful choices, set short term and long term goals, and take ownership of their learning. Finally, the English language learners will be fostered through their student agency and ability to stand up for their decisions. As a student, it is important to know what you want to do in life and how to apply that into more intricate details outside of the classroom and school community. Newcomer, Pullout, 2 hour, and 50/50 dual language immersion are different models that are incorporated into the curriculum and just the whole disposition for English language learners. So first, I will be going over the newcomer program, which is designed for students who have recently arrived in the school system and have such a very, very, very limited proficiency in the English language. The pull-out program is where students are taken out of the general education classroom for a portion of the day to gain tailored and specialized instruction for English as a second language. This will mean that students will receive small group and or individualized instruction. And when I say small group, it could be in a setting of 3 to 5 students, 7 to 10 students, and then for individualized, it's that 1-to-1 student to teacher ratio. For continuation of that first slide, the 2 hour and 50/50 dual immersion language immersion basically means that the 2 hour model is directed for English language learners, which provides a rigorous English language instruction. So, the students, many students or one student, however many students are suited, will be taken out from their gen ed class for about 2 hours to model a large chunk of which will take up a large chunk of the school day, but they are practicing, they are conversating about the English language, whether that is meanings, vocabulary, basic conversation, learning how to contribute to a discussion. It's a beautiful thing that I've learned while doing some research for this assignment. So the 50/50 dual language immersion, this involves instruction from 2 different languages at a minimum percent of 50% for the English language and then 50% in another language. The home language survey in Arizona's English Learner Assessment, which is also known as the AZELA, basically is completed. The home language survey is completed by parents and or guardians. This is the first step for all of the new enrolled students, and this basically gives teachers, administrators, evaluators the opportunity to get to know the student from the parent's perspective. This survey will indicate what languages are spoken at home and by the student. If the student only speaks the English language, they will be classified as an English language speaker. English language learners are assessed by the AZELA, which is a placement test that measures English proficiency in listening, speaking, reading, and writing. And the levels are pre-emergent, emergent, basic, intermediate, and or proficient. Students that are classified as proficient will be classified as a fluent English proficient learner, also known as FEP. The AZELA can serve as a reassessment tool when the student is showing a greater sense of English fluency over time. For example, a newly enrolled student can enter at a pre-emergent level, and then within 2 years, or even shorter time period, they can become a proficient level. Standard accommodations that are available to English language learners for the AZELA are extended time, small group and or one-to-one administration, use of visual aids, clear and concise instructions, and the opportunity for repetitive directions. Parents and guardians have rights, and the most important thing is for them to be aware of that. Parents have the right to be notified of English language learners' identification and services that are offered to them. They deserve to receive information about the English language program, services that are offered, and most importantly, how they will help the child learn the English language and achieve their academic goals. Parents have the right to participate in discussions and decisions about their child's education program. And finally, parents and their guardians have the right to refuse or disregard the placement when they don't want to agree the child's English language program identification. I have included some references that I have used throughout my time of researching for this topic, and I thank you so much for watching. Have a great evening.